state just suddenly say, cancel a contract and say, okay, it's only 1 year to 1 year? Or was that something that we just missed,
I just missed, to be honest with you, sir. In the past, it has been like 3 years, but I think what they're trying to do is have the ability for other vendors to come in and put their services there, so we have more of a competitive pricing for different vendors, sir.
So last year when they put out the bid, it was for only 1 year, but you came to the council, and I understand
Yeah.
you came and said, okay, this is for a 3 year, so you approved the funds for the 3 year, but it was only a 1 year state contract.
It was 3 years, and then they changed it to 1 year.
In the middle of the contract, they changed it?
Yes, sir, to reallow it.
Okay, thank you.
So Carlos, are you saying that this $550,000 that you just awarded November 1st, you're saying you didn't use it, you can't use it, contract's expired, so we're getting the 550 grand back? Is that what you're saying?
That was just spending authority to pay our bills. I didn't give it to anybody. It was still in our funds, so
Okay, so it's
that's
still
just
there.
spending authority.
That spending authority is still there? Okay,
It is that the fund is now because it expired.
I see. Any further questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Councilman Marola.
Carlos, I've never seen a bid like this from MIS. Do you have any bids that we've done like this in the past?
As far as spending all the...
You're just creating a new bid, because I've never seen one like this.
That's right.
Usually it's broken down so we can ask questions about that particular area. So if you say mobile phones and air cards, I'm assuming for an estimated $109,000, I'm assuming that includes so many mobile phones, correct?
Yes, sir.
And usually I would see a bid come before me on that item, and you would tell us we're gonna have 400 mobile phones, and I've sat in on council meetings where it broke it down how many phones are in each department. So for example, if you said, well, I'm gonna add 20 more phones, and I'm going to give 20 phones to people that sit behind desks at the tax assessor's office, the council would probably say, well, gee, we don't think that's a good idea, spending 20, getting 20 extra phones. So to me, it's not just about getting bids. It's the way that you lumped all this together instead of breaking it down. That doesn't mean that you can't come before us and say, I think Verizon Wireless through the state of Rhode Island for 400 phones is the bid that we need. And then come before us, and then we discuss, well, how many phones, who's getting them, whatever, and we go with the state of Rhode Island for phones. But to lump everything in doesn't give the council any discretion or authority over what you're telling us that you're doing. And occasionally we like to have input, that's our job, into what MIS is doing or any other department is doing. And it gives us an opportunity to hear your rationale as to why we need so many mobile phones and which departments are getting them, or internet service, or dark fiber, what buildings they're going to. I've never seen a bid that lumped everything together for $611,000. It seems disingenuous. Maybe it wasn't what you intended, but it just seems like, well, I'm gonna lump everything together in one bid. That way I only have to come before these guys once.
That's right.
I did it to try to save time because,
and
like I said earlier, I'm already behind like the April, like the counselor pointed out earlier.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I kind of like combine all of them together. And the other reason is because it went from like a 3-year contract to a 1-year
Basically,
contract.
you had a 3-year contract, correct?
Through the state MPA.
Through the state
That's
MPA.
right.
Okay. And the state MPA, you said sometime in August, late August, got this new bid.
It was, yes, sir.
All right. And I'm assuming sometime before that, they went out to bid, right?
Yes, sir. There's
Okay.
more.
So we're talking at least 6-7 months' notice that things would be changing.
I get notifications of those changes.
A $611,000, gee, I didn't see it, is disconcerting to me. I don't know how it is to the rest of the council members, but, if I made a mistake like that in my profession, I'd probably be disbarred and lose my license to practice law. That's a major error, $611,000. I'd get sued for malpractice. And so I'm glad to hear that you say it's my fault. It doesn't make it any more palatable to us that it's your fault. What you're saying is that, well, you got to take all of this and make a decision tonight because you didn't see something a few months ago and you thought you had contracts in place. The other issue is we've had, as Councilman Lattisaw talked about in the past, we've gone out to bid. And, you just made a remark about the state is always the lowest, right? Because that's what you're telling us. Go with this. I didn't go out to bid because the state is always the lowest bid because they have more, or are we wrong?
I don't think I ever said this.
Well, that's what you're implying, isn't it?
I am not implying that.
Well,
You're putting
okay,
words into my mouth.
Fine. So why didn't you go out to bid?
Why did I go out to
Or
bid?
why did you not go out to bid if the state is not always the lowest bidder? Because I didn't put words in your mouth, and it's not implied.
I didn't go out to
Could you
bid.
One at a time, one
Yeah.
at a time.
So just, Carlos, let me finish my thought.
Okay.
And then you can finish your thought. That's the way it works.
That's fine.
Right? So what I'm saying to you is if you had an opportunity to go out to bid, and I'm not putting words in your mouth because the state contract is not always the lowest, and I can represent everybody here that sometimes it isn't. Why didn't you go out to bid?
Why didn't I go to bid? I just said it earlier. I combined all the 3 contracts that had expired into one to try to basically go and streamline the process, sir. And as far as going out to bid, there has been instances in the past that Ray has been forced to go out to bid and will receive less quality of service, forced Ray to go out to bid for an internet service, and we went from a higher internet bandwidth to a lower internet bandwidth for more prices. You also forced Ray to go out to bid for Verizon Wireless when carriers, like cell carriers, most of the time take the federal percentage that they give the federal government and then basically give it to most municipalities. So for me to go out to bid for cell carriers is to a certain point a little bit pointless because they're only going to give me the percentage that they give the federal government.
So there's a thing in Warwick, right?
Yep.
It's called the City of Warwick Charter.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And we have elected officials.
Yes.
And the elected officials oversee you whether you like it or not.
Yes.
Okay? And telling us that you don't agree with our decisions isn't a revelation to us. But we have an obligation to the citizens of Warwick to make sure that we're getting the best value for our dollar. So to me, I'm sorry that may inconvenience you, or it may turn around and be a situation where the bid might come in higher, and guess what, Carlos? Sometimes the bid comes in lower. It's a process that every department goes through. It's not unique to you.
I understand that, sir.
So, Carlos, if the state bid is not always lower, and we're trying to do our job to see what the lowest bid is, and you're already 2 months behind anyway, you don't even have contracts, why don't you go out to bid, get the best price, and if the state contract is that for that item on phones, that's great. And not only that, you get to come in and you get to tell us how many phones you have. And you get to tell us why and what departments those phones are going to. And to me, that's what I've seen for years department heads do. And I had the pleasure of working with the previous MIS director who was here for about 10 years. And I've never, since he left, I've never seen such upheaval in any department. I mean, transitions with the fire department go smoothly, transitions with the police department, whatever the hierarchy is. But the MIS, it's just, well, I made up my own new rule. I'm gonna lump everything together because I missed something, and that way I don't have to come back to you again. To me, that doesn't fly. I'm trying to do my job for my constituents and for the rest of the city of Warwick to make sure that we have the best bid. Not only that, that we're spending it where we need to spend it, because maybe there's another solution. And you coming here and talking to us and educating all the dumb people on the council, okay?
I never call anybody dumb in the
Okay,
council.
well, it's certainly saying, when you tell us when we go out to rebid and it costs the city more money, to me, that implies that it was not a smart move to follow the charter and go out to bid. But that's how that's how I interpret it, Carlos, when you say that to me. And it's offensive, to be quite frank, okay? So, go out to bid, talk about what you're doing in each department, and come before us like every other department. And it's every time you come here, it's like we're inconveniencing you to follow the city charter. And I'm wondering, at one point, are you going to come before us and it's not going to be an inconvenience to you? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Morella, you're the one that asked me in the past to basically try to break down all the different bids, because in the past, you guys approved, I shouldn't say you guys because some of you weren't here, but the city council approved like a big budget, and you asked me in the past, since the time they started here, to start breaking it down, and I've tried to do as much as possible.
This isn't a breakdown, this is the exact opposite.
Could I finish?
Sure.
Like I said earlier, the only reason that I put this together is because 3 of the contracts had expired, and I combined them together to do one.
So, are you done?
And like I said earlier, most of the time, like for instance, like the Verizon Wireless or any carrier, most of the time, like the percentage is only going to be for whatever they give the federal government. So it's going to be either 18 or 15%. That's why I combine.
And sometimes different trust sometimes offers products on different things. There's a lot of different ways that you can get a better price, Carlos. But I'm glad you said that and reminded me of what I told you, which is break it down so we can look at it. And you did the exact opposite here.
And most of the time I have done it, except for this one.
Carlos, so you're saying that mobile phones are part of the state bid?
Yes, they are, sir, under state MPA 308.
And that is mobile phones? You sure about that?
Includes mobile phones to include air cards and different things, so it's under Verizon Wireless.
Well, I can tell you this. I have been on this council now 5 years, and I have never experienced so many problems in MIS as we have had recently, with phones down, with computers down, with this not working, with that not working. We have a computer that we can't even get replaced.
I don't even know what you're talking about, sir, to be honest with you.
Okay, all right. Apparently I'm just speaking for nothing. Councilman Marola, on November 1st of 2017 through October 31st of 2020, this department received spending authority of $550,000. And now they're looking for another $611,000. That is not happening on my watch. Councilman
Yes.
The budget code you said is 900?
Sorry?
You said the budget code earlier, you said something about the code for that spending line item is 900.
It was combined between the original, the increase in November 1st of
So
2017.
5 and 600 is 1.1.
Correct.
So it's $200,000 above what we had budgeted in those two combined line items.
And I think the total with this 6 would be $1.5 million.
$1.5 million.
It's spending authority.
Okay.
And with spending authority can be listed here, but once this is awarded, we have no clue, as you said, where the money goes. Is 26 going to Light Tower, or is 26 going to another building? Or are we gonna use this little portion here out of this account because we couldn't get the approval for something else? So we're gonna take it from here and we're gonna use it there. Those days are gone.
Just to be clear, once again, the $900,000
Okay.
has expired, so I do not have expending authority
Right,
for
got it.
$1.5 million.
Any questions from members of the public? Sir, keep it limited to this item.
We're talking 900,000, he said it's expired. I'm just wondering how the 900,000 impacted tax rates for last year. Was it built into the tax rate? 900,000 built into the rate? And all of a sudden, it's expired? Or was it prorated? But, I mean, it's a basic question from a taxpayer's point of view. Were we overtaxed in 1 year to the tune of $900,000? Do you know, Councilman?
I think that's a very good question. I don't know the answer.
No? Neither do I, and these numbers being floated around with no details is really...
I want to know about if it's gone, where is it? Any other questions from members of the public?
It was budgeted for 3 years. That's why the old contract was supposed to expire in 2020. So
The old contract, the contract that was just approved November 1st of 2017. You're saying here we are now and it's expired.
if you want me to keep using the same contract, I'll more than gladly use it. So, but it's expired. I'm just trying
Okay.
to do the right thing. So
Any other
I don't
questions
know
from
what
members
else
of
to
the
tell
public? I've been on this thing now far long enough.
Stacia Heiler, Ward 9. So you had the authority to spend, how much did you actually spend before the contract expired? Do we know that, or did we cover that at all?
Carlos, that's a good question.
I could get you the answer by tomorrow, but it was less than $300,000 because we had a couple of delays in the projects and the deployment of the new phone system and the switching infrastructure. So I can't give you an exact amount right now, but it was below the $300,000 per year that you asked last year. And I could get you the exact number tomorrow, but it wasn't nowhere near the $300,000 that you approved per year.
Any other questions?
Well, that was good to know. I would just think that there needs to be, I'm just kind of honestly blown away that this is even happening. That honestly, that someone even has the nerve to be putting in this type of request that's heading any city department. I would just think that before you go out on any kind of a leave, for whatever reason, that you have somebody that's at least monitoring bids that are expiring so that stuff like this doesn't happen. You would think that there's some kind of backup plan, but thank you. Appreciate it.